Hello and welcome to the very first episode of The Shift. This show is all about how to use AI for the rest of us. Our goal here, and I'm so excited to get underway with this. We've been planning this for a while. We've been practicing it for a while, but we want to start bringing valuable content about marketing using AI to work more efficiently, to grow faster, really with a focus on small business and not being overly technical, but really translating in a practical, applicable way the craziness that's going on in the world of AI and how you can use that in simple ways to simply, run your business better. Chris, welcome, my co-host. What do you want to get out of this?
So I was thinking about how this could be valuable. And it made me think about when I first started messing around with computers in the late 90s, early 2000s. It reminds me very much of the time we're in right now. Like at that point, there was a fundamental change in the way that design and marketing and business worked with the advent of broad accessibility to the internet. And people were just tinkering and trying to figure out what worked, what didn't, what cool things you could do. We're very much in that same space with AI right now, where like there's a lot of unknowns out there, and many like unknown unknowns, things we're not even thinking about right now. And I remember being that young guy, and I learned so much from people who were out there working with larger audiences and figuring things out. And that's what we have the opportunity to do with The Shift. We're going to be talking about experiments that we've run, things that actually work in our lives, what we're learning from our colleagues and other people that we talk to in the industry. Hopefully that's going to make all of you better and more effective in this wild new world in which we all live.
Yeah, and like Chris said, like this is, we're gonna make sure that we bring you valuable content in the time that you spend with us. But this is going to be a little bit unvarnished. Like we're going to be working this stuff out and bringing what we've learned and what we've learned to apply to you. We're going to do practical hands-on demos of not just tools or products, but things, tasks that you can do with them to help your business. We're going to bring you guest interviews of like thought leaders in the space or small business owners just like you and entrepreneurs just like you and creators just like you who have been doing the things that we're going to try to teach and share with you to help unlock something for you. And we're going to take your questions. So, whether that's live in real time or going to AWeber.com/shift and submitting mailbag questions where we're going to like unpack the exact pain points or issues or questions that are top of mind for you every Tuesday and Friday at 12 Eastern time, right? So let's do it. This is a shift.
We've even got a cool little intro. That's awesome, Jesse.
Right out of the gates.
We made it,
man. I'm just mostly relieved that it played, All right, let's dive into it. All right, I'm gonna start us off with a demo right out of the gate. And for me, this is just like a super practical use of AI as it stands right now for your small business. One of the things that when I was a freelance designer, it was one of the things that kept me busiest early in my career was creating social media assets for businesses. That can be time consuming. It's a lot of back and forth and a lot of just kind of like delay in communication. It can also just be costly for small business owners, entrepreneurs who, are trying to work efficiently. I feel that in every side project that I start, but also just like quickly, like you don't want things to slow. Nothing screws up momentum in a new project, right?
The thing that I think is so interesting about this too, Jesse, is that you're a designer, right?
Yeah.
When you're talking about your demo, like there are plenty of reasons to be skeptical of some AI tools and of the way that models have been trained and all that sort of stuff, and to be in favor of like sensible AI regulation. I know I am.
Yeah.
But just like with the advent of the internet, this is the way tools are evolving. And to a point, we need to be adopting them. Like I use AI tools for a lot of stuff. My background is also in design.
Yeah.
And I still love to do illustrations and things. But when I need to do UI mock-ups, for example, I rely really heavily on design tools. I don't let it take away my agency, but it does, like Jesse's saying, makes the process so much faster and less annoying. It removes all the tedium of getting started.
Yeah, in my role, I'm a creative director. I've been using for a lot of like friends projects, personal projects, a lot of AI tools, and it's not taking me out of that. Like I creative direct these tools now, and like you know, for better or worse. And like there's some pros to that. There's some cons to that for sure. I'm certainly not you know, everything about this is going to be perfect and great. There are gaps in what it can do. There are
But that's
gaps.
what we're for.
Yeah, exactly. That's why we're here. But we're really here, like Chris said at the top too, like to help you kind of shift the way that you're running your business, to leverage the right tools where useful and valuable. So in this case, I'm going to show you. I'm using 2 tools that are easily available to every you know, business owner, entrepreneur, content creator. If you're not already using them, I'm going to use Claude. And I'm going to use Canva. If you signed up for those 2, I'm not going to get into the nitty-gritty technical setup here, but you can connect those 2 so that they work together. And what I'm going to show you is how to create a series of social media assets. For my case, I'm using something that almost nobody watching this will ever want to use. It's the first rule, make it super applicable, right? But we're going to create social media assets for National Cheesesteak Day. Chris and I are located outside of Philadelphia. I'm a big fan of things that are not healthy for me. So let's do it. We're going to go National Cheesesteak Day, and we're going to create a series of assets. Now, I'm in Claude here, and I'm just going to prompt it. I'm going to tell it, I'd like you to work with Canva. So I'm being explicit in my prompt that I want it to utilize that connection that it has to produce a series of social media assets. Now, I'm going to be as descriptive as possible up front here, because the less back and forth necessary, the better. But at the same time, it is going to ask me some follow-ups likely, like, and that's cool. That's fine. Cause I also don't want to like have to write a book, like asking for this. You could, they should be 9:16 ratio. So they're that like mobile vertical, for an event that I have coming up on April 18th called National Cheesesteak Day. And we're just going to send that, and it's going to get to work.
And just like a point about like the specificity of the prompt. Like,
yeah.
There's a benefit to having a more vague prompt like this. One, it will generally ask you follow-up questions, like Jesse mentioned, but also you'll tend to get you'll get more like wild variety of things, especially if you ask for multiple variations.
Yeah.
And like Jesse and I were talking about this on a previous conversation. Sometimes you don't have to treat these questions that it asks you as like, I have to answer these or it's not going to work. Like sometimes I'll look at them and I'll be like, what? This is a dumb question. I'm just not going to answer it. Like answer the questions that you think are going to be helpful. This is where like our agency and taste as people actually works. Like Jesse, I love what you did there.
Like, I don't want to answer that. Just let's make this easy.
Yeah. That reminds me of my wife. She is like a little fireball, and her favorite ChatGPT prompt back when it first launched was punch it up. So she would generate content or something, and then her next step would always be punch it up. And honestly, it made it better, you know?
You know what? That might be an area where it's like better. When I was in college, I worked as a landscape gardener, like installing perennial gardens, and we would always do like the flower pots before like Memorial Day for clients and stuff like that. If they're having like a barbecue or whatever. And I had a boss who would always just go, I would go, how does this look? And she'd go, I don't know, make it sing. And my brain would just go, what?
Man, you should.
Is it not singing? I bet you could tell AI to make it sing, and it would be like, all right.
Yeah, you should run this prompt. Like after talking about these, run the prompt. This looks good, but make it sing. I wonder what it'll happen. It's gonna do something really literal. I think.
I know it's probably gonna like totally lose context, but heck, that's why we're here. Let's have fun. First of all, before I run this prompt and we totally lose it, it generated just on that simple prompt 4 9:16 promotions for National Cheesesteak Day on April 18th. If you're following at home, that is not actually National Cheesesteak Day. It was March 24th. It's okay. We can still buy cheesesteaks every day. But don't worry about that. And we're going to play with this a little bit later. Let's see what it does if I just ask it to make it sing. Oh, wait. I'm sorry. I didn't realize it's still going.
Oh, cool.
I'm actually going to stop it from making any more right now. And I'm going to tell it this looks good, but make it sing. Let's see.
Can you scroll up and
with more punch? You use the word punch.
Liz just knew. She knew from the beginning. Punch it up.
You know, at first
Can,
guess.
can you scroll up to see some of the other variations? I'm really interested in seeing like what did it do differently.
It did a lot of like, in this case, it went a lot of photorealistic. I could have been specific and said like, make it cartoony or make it, you know, whatever I wanted. These are very dramatic. Like they kind of feel like they're like, I don't know, like a TGI Fridays ad or something.
Yeah, with some made up words in there that we'd have to fix.
Yeah, imperfect, right?
Yeah, we were also talking about this. Like I think there's this this unhelpful thought about AI that gets in the way for some people when they're trying to use it. You know, you might go to an image generation tool or a text generation tool and just put in a prompt, especially like a vague prompt like this one was, and get something back that you're unhappy with. And many people, I know I did this early on, like years ago, I was like, well, I guess this just doesn't work. But what you learn if you continue to interact with it is it's very rarely going to get things perfectly right, if ever, on the first try. And just like you're, you know, working through your own creative process, I know I very rarely get things right on the first try. It's a process of iteration, like trying something out, seeing what could be better, communicating it to myself, like, okay, recognizing it and doing it, or communicating it to someone I'm working with, or communicating it to an AI tool, and then giving it another go and iterating and making it progressively better.
Yeah. So what I love here too, great. It generated these assets. Like maybe there's something a little like I want to tweak. Maybe I want to make a few modifications. I want to add something to it. Like maybe it's my logo or whatever. What's beautiful here is I can click into any of these and it's trying to use more punch. And I can actually click open in Canva. And what it's going to do is just go right ahead and open it in my Canva account. And now this is fully editable. And I can say, instead of April 18th, I can say, oh, actually, you know what? It was May 18th. Oh, let's fix a little typo there, right? It's got a little overzealous. And you can make whatever changes you want. You can add whatever you want to it. And when you're ready to use those, you can share and download and save those assets. And now you've got that stuff ready to go. If you're integrated, if your Canva is integrated with Instagram or wherever you're sharing this content, you can even just one-click post it directly from Canva. So you can literally go from idea in Claude for some social content to published post. I mean, like, you know, we danced around this and played with it a little bit, but in minutes, right? Like, I don't know. That's, to me, as a past designer that used to do stuff like this for clients, and it would be like back and forth. Oh, tell me what you want. How's this? Do you want to, you know, I'm actually helping a friend with some stuff like that right now. And it's very just kind of wasteful. Like just to realize that you can have a social presence that's like pretty nicely designed, pretty decent fidelity, especially the more, you know, robust your prompt is. That to me, that's just like such an incredible unlock that, you know,
that's right. I got to see the singing version.
Oh yeah.
Did it do it?
With it? It punched it up in its words. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. This one's not bad. I don't know what the April 18th around day is, but yeah, some of these all right. I personally am never going to eat a cheesesteak that looks like that.
Yeah, that's wild.
Cheese is on the wrong side of the bread.
That's a knife and fork cheesesteak, which is a travesty.
Which like don't do that here, right? Anyway, so I don't know. So just I hope like a practical use, like set aside the cheesesteaks, but like anything. I think about this this great local bike shop, and like they just in my town here, and they don't have the social presence that I wish they had. This is something that they could be punching up for, like, you know, come trade in an old helmet and get a discount on a brand new helmet. Like, you know, like anything that you want to do, you can be creating great visuals and putting that out there and socializing in minutes without any design skills. Chris, you and I talk about this a lot. Like, I think one of the huge unlocks of a lot of AI tools is like, I no longer have to know how to do that. I just have to be able to describe what I want. And using Claude connected with Canva is just like such a beautiful experience to me now.
Yeah. That is rad.
What do you got for us today?
Okay, mine is like completely different. It is not super visual. Well, it is in a way.
Yeah.
But it's how to use Claude to get to know your new email subscribers or your prospects better. So if you, my wife's an interior designer, and she's constantly getting people who are interested in her offering. Or if you're at that bike shop and you have a way for people to sign up to get a coupon code, it's really helpful to get people much more personalized outreach, whether you're doing it in an automated way or in a, just individual. I'm going to send you a follow-up text or email or something like that. So I'm going to show you this with AWeber's MCP. And if you're watching this live stream, I'm going to drop a link to that in the chat. Nice. But whatever your email platform is, as long as they have an MCP, which you can connect in Claude or ChatGPT or whatever tool that you're using, you can do the same thing. And what an MCP is it basically lets your assistant or some AI conversational LLM tool talk to a product like AWeber. So what I'm asking for is for a subscriber on my list. This is for my Would You Rather newsletter, so it's going to be a little goofy. I want a report of the last 5 emails that I've sent them and how they've engaged, a narrative recap, so like a storytelling version of how they engage with me, and I want to do a web search of that email to get publicly available information based, so I can get to know them better and more personally reach out to them. So I ran that, and what I got is this Markdown report, which is pretty darn awesome. So it noticed a couple things about this. The big one that I thought was so cool is this was a testing email of mine, and it recognized that and called it out. It was like, this is almost definitely a testing email. So that's neat in this case, but the translation to your own case is these LLMs are really good at one thing in particular, and that's pattern matching. They can see patterns that are hard for us to see, and they can see them in bulk. And that was an example of it recognizing something that is a pattern out in the world and calling it out. So then it calls out the last 5 emails sent exactly like I asked, then tells a story of this person's, in my case, my interaction with the newsletter in a way that I can understand as a human. We're storytelling, story understanding people, and this is an interesting way to understand the subscriber without looking at charts and stuff, which are also helpful. And then the last thing it did is it recognized that this was a plus addressed alias. So the plus testing WYR is probably not how I would appear on publicly available search stuff. So it took that away, and then it did a search for my base address and pulled together a profile on me. And the profile is really good. So here's my professional information, education, information about my public speaking, and then it calls out some just fun, interesting things about me. This was neat, but I want to show you how you can make this something that might be even easier to digest. I asked for it to make it more visual, and it did, and it created a new artifact for me that looks like this, which is the same information laid out in a way to make it more easily interpretable to me. So here's the high level engagement rate, the tags that this person has. It called out the fact that it thinks it's a test account, and then gives me a one-liner on my engagement, which is so cool.
Yeah.
And then this last public profile card. And I'm going to try something live now, because let's talk about how we would make this useful. I'm going to say, let's say this person just signed up for my new survey tool, and I want to send them a personal outreach email welcoming them. Here, you can vamp to fill the space while I'm typing that out.
I think about this too. We get a question a lot with an ESP like AWeber, where it's like, can I use this as a CRM? I mean, what this is unlocking too is just so much background and contextual information about your subscribers, where you can know what their needs are, what they're looking for. It's also you could make this scalable by saying take this segment of my subscribers or something like that and show what their behaviors are, so you understand what your audience is looking to learn about, to hear about, what their needs are, what their pain points are. You have an analyst just on hand. There's so many tools that we used to use to to learn more about a subscriber, and it's just right there.
Yeah.
It's crazy to me.
Yeah, it's so cool. So I've asked it to write a personalized outreach, like welcome email for me based on this person's public profile, personal profile. One of the biggest things that I love about these conversational tools is like it is very forgiving of my typos and misreferencing things. So I called it their personal profile. I'm pretty sure it's going to be able to figure out I meant their public profile information. But we'll see when it comes back with the email it creates. But this is something like conceptually that is really cool. This is the idea of user interface on demand. So if you have data somewhere, like in a spreadsheet or in a website that you can access via an MCP or connector, and you want to visualize it in a certain way, like say, I just want to compare one message to another and see what happens. You could just do that and have tools like Claude and ChatGPT build you user interfaces, reporting software on demand that you only need right then and there. You may only need to look at it once, but you can finally do that very bespoke building. So thanks for signing up. Quick note. I read your AWeber post on bumping survey response rates by 116%, and that mindset is exactly what this tool was built for. That's awesome. So it found a public post that I had written. I didn't test this beforehand, so this is pretty cool. It found a public,
you wrote it.
Yeah. Well, it is reminding me that I did actually write a blog post about an experiment we ran to dramatically increase our survey completion rate. But it mentioned that in this email, which is something that as I'm reading it, I'm like, oh, wow, I did actually do that. And then it talks about how this hypothetical imaginary survey tool could work for me as a person who's interested in questionnaires and surveys and whatnot. That's pretty awesome.
That's incredible. All right, let's do it. Let's keep going here. Let's dive into a few like quick tips. What do you say?
That works for me. Let's go.
All right. So, quick tip number 1. This is you. Introducing Claude Opus 4.7.
Yes. So a new version of Claude's a new model for Claude launched. Yeah. It's called Opus 4.7. It's their thinking model. And I haven't run any structured tests around it yet, but it seems pretty good and smart, but also so far really token hungry. So it uses a lot of your tokens and pushes you on your usage limits. And I've been seeing a lot of people talking about just like blowing through their whole session limit in Claude by using 4.7. And I was reading Boris, the Claude Code creator. He had some suggestions on, like why that might be happening and what you can do about it. So the 4.7 tends to err on the side of higher effort thinking, because you can have a range of efforts in the thinking models, and it tends to err on higher effort thinking, which uses more tokens, uses more of your capacity. So some of the suggestions he had were to provide more context up front. And the reason for that is so the model doesn't have to keep coming back with questions to clarify, because every time it's coming back with questions to clarify, it has to carry context with it from the conversation you've had and deal with your answers. And the other suggestion that I thought was really smart was to batch the changes that you're asking for. So if you're looking at something and you see 3 things need to change, like let's say I've written an email and I want to change the subject line and the product I'm promoting and include a coupon, just ask that all in one chat instead of asking for one, checking it, asking for another, checking it, asking it for a third to check it.
Yeah, that's awesome. What would you like? So practical recommendation, would it be like try what you want to do in an earlier model?
No,
see what you want, or just like.
Well, I think that's like the general recommendation is use the model for the thing that you're trying to do. Like if you want to make a really simple change to something like a subject line,
Don't
And
blow through tokens on 4.7.
yeah, like use Sonnet or a smaller model to do it. But I think like the two things I suggested are, if you're using the thinking model, use it in those ways, like provide specificity in your prompts, and batch your requests, like the things you're asking for, ask for several in one thing. It's funny, we have an internal at AWeber, we have an internal tool called Worker Bee that we can just give it tasks and it'll go do it. And one of the ways that I use it is like when we're working through fixing bugs in a new product that we're getting ready to release, we'll go through and we'll be testing it, and we'll have like a list of things that we want to change. We used to like address them one by one, but now I'll take like 5, 6, a dozen things that I want to change, just give it to Worker Bee all at once, and it'll just go fix it and give me a response that is like, okay, I fixed these things, here's how you test it. I think that's a good habit.
I think that's a perfect example when it comes to like 4.7 with Claude. It's give it everything that you know. Like don't hold back information for follow-ups. There inevitably going to be follow-ups, if the context is not perfect. But if you know this much at the onset of what you want to accomplish, give it all to it.
Yeah. What's your tip?
All right. So mine is not necessarily brand new, but I think it's like super practical. And I want to tie back to the demo that I was doing for Claude and Canva. Great flow for creating new visual assets. But let's say you have one, right? So again, we're back to National Cheesesteak Day. This is an image I generated a little bit earlier.
That one looks great.
Let's say, I know, I actually prefer this to what we demoed this last time. I should have been specific and said, cartoon illustrated or, hand illustrated. So let's just say you have a static asset, non-editable, right? Like this is the final asset. And it's like, you know what was I thinking? National Cheesesteak Day is actually May 18th, not April 18th, but how in the world am I going to go about changing this? I just think it's like a good, fresh reminder of just a super easy, available tool. And that's Gemini. I think you and I have talked a little bit in the past about like different implementations of Gemini can produce different results, not always satisfactory. But if in this case, one of the things that I genuinely love is Gemini's model Nano Banana, which is its image editing tool, is super effective, unlike some earlier and competitor models, at maintaining aspects of your image and only changing the things that you want. I remember playing with some of these tools early on and being like, just change this one thing. And it would change that one thing and then it would reimagine everything else. Like it couldn't maintain like pixel specific memory basically. But this is such a cool, easy tool. And I kind of came across it a long time ago when we had a customer who had an image for their landing page. And they're like, I just want to change this typo. And we were able to do it for them in seconds just because this existed. So I gave it that April 17th image and I've told it change April to May, please, without changing anything else in the image. I'm going to select the create image tool. So it's using Nano Banana and I'm going to send it. And it is going to give me pretty quickly here, actually, the exact result that I'm looking for. So I actually ran this earlier too. And again, this was the original image and it produced this. And I mean, seriously, like
perfect,
pixel perfect. I'm switching between images here. The only thing that changes is the word April to May, and it even mimics that typeface. Even though this is not an editable file, so it doesn't have that typeface, it mimics the style and it maintains everything else. So again, this is not like super technical or in-depth, but I think just a super useful reminder that some of the things that we get bogged down in as entrepreneurs, business owners, are these like laborious, time-intensive, frustrating things that the right AI tool can just kind of take off of our plate.
Yeah. Okay. My last one is it has to do with AI, but the action I'm suggesting that you take, the tip, is not an AI thing. McKinsey and Company, which is this gigantic consulting firm, they released this article with research about how consumers in Europe are using AI in their purchasing decisions. And the long story short is a lot of people are using AI tools to compare to look for reviews on items, and to help in their buying decision. Not a ton of people are from the research purchasing directly with AI, but a lot of them are using it for figuring out what to buy and what services to use. Yes,
yeah.
And so the tip here is to start thinking about how you can appear in search results.
Mm-hmm.
And this is still like a very, in AI, in assistance, this is like there's a lot of unknown here. Mm-hmm. But I want to share something that I was looking at today. So I mentioned my wife is an interior designer. Most of her customers are local in this area. So I was like, top interior designers in our town. And it gave me back a list of responses, of which she was one, which was awesome. But the neat thing is it told me what it did. It was like, hey, I went and searched and I prioritized designers in your area who have a lot of positive reviews. And I think it even mentioned the sites that the positive reviews were on, like Google reviews and a few other places. So my suggestion for you is, if you want to do something to help with your ranking in these AI assistants, ask your most excited customers, your super fans, to leave you a review that specifically talks about why they loved you, what you did. In Liz's case, made my house beautiful. My family loves spending time in the room, maybe mention the room. I think that's one of the things that you can do now to both improve your AI ranking and also your general search engine ranking.
Yeah. And I think it's really cool because I think we know from personal experience, I think often when we see technological advances like this, as small business owners, entrepreneurs who are just starting out or starting a new product and getting off the ground, we tend to be a little bit skeptical of like, does that apply to me yet? You and I have talked in a lot of places about like the relevance of AI search. But I think still the first response often is like, yeah, but does that matter to me? And like, this is just showing like, yeah, like it does matter. You should be focusing on this. I know for me, I don't know about you. If I'm buying a new product, I used to always Google wire cutter best this because I trusted Wirecutter's best reviews, and I find myself now just best this and relying a lot more on a lot of that AI search result.
Yeah. Jesse said something in the pre-call that I think is a good call out for all of us small business owners. Like, in addition to working at AWeber, I also have a pickleball paddle company. And he mentioned that small businesses, you'll have to share the actual thing, but we're generally really slow to adopt new technologies and pay attention to new technologies. So like, don't be that person. And this is for myself as well. Like, don't be that person. Start thinking about this now.
I don't care if you're an online course creator or a local bike shop owner, like we talked about earlier, or a documentary film, like any kind of small business creator, entrepreneur, we tend to lag, but it like, how do I say this without sounding like super like corny? Like, the opportunity right now is kind of wild. Like, it's unrefined. People have not mastered the algorithm the way they have with SEO. Like, if you are an earlier adopter here, you have a much greater opportunity for really taking advantage of that. Like Liz showing up for, because of reviews for interior designers. Besides the fact, like, her natural talent, how's she going to share that with the world, right?
Yeah.
I love it. I think that's great. All right, so let's jump into our mailbag where we answer your AI-related questions. If you have a question for a future episode, you can go to aweber.com/shift. There's a button right in the top right corner of that page where you can submit your question, and we may answer it on a future episode. Let's go to some of the ones that we sourced early on here. First question, Chris, for you. I've tried ChatGPT. Wow, rolls right off the tongue. I've tried ChatGPT a few times, but I always get generic garbage back. What am I doing wrong?
We could opine on this for a long time, but
forever.
Just really quickly, I think if this is happening to you, it's because of a lack of specificity. If you give a vague prompt to an LLM, it's going to give you it has a really wide variance in what it can give to you. The more specifically you can communicate what you want, the better or at least more specific results you're going to get back. And I'll give you an example of like how this principle applies when we're building stuff. When we have this tool called the newsletter assistant that creates emails for people. And the reason why we built that when something like ChatGPT exists, because you might say like, why do you need this? I can just type something into ChatGPT, is that we have access to all sorts of additional context, other emails people have sent. We create a style guide based on their business for them that they can go and edit and improve. And all of that context results in creating way better, more personalized, more relevant email content than if you just put a vague prompt into ChatGPT. So the short answer there is your prompts probably aren't specific enough, so you're getting back ChatGPT's wild swipe at trying to solve your problem.
Yeah, think about it this way. Out of the box, ChatGPT has access to a world of information, but none of it's specific to you per se. It has the ability to create great content in your voice and tone, but it's only as good as you help make it in terms of providing it that context.
And like these assistants are getting smarter, so they have more persistent memory. So they're building out a profile of you over time that they can use when trying to perform tasks for you. But what they don't have is, like in our case, like with our MCP or in AWeber, we also have like the performance data about your emails. So it has some idea of when it creates something, how well did it perform with your end users, so it can use the stuff that performed better to create content and disregard the stuff or deprioritize the stuff that performed worse. Yeah. So it's interesting. Like if you wanted to get really good results from a generic assistant, you would probably, and for a task like writing email, you would probably want to be continuously like copy pasting your results in from your email marketing platform, or using an MCP or some sort of connector, so it could actually look at the performance of the content that was created to help produce better content based on what's actually working. But that's a lot. If you want to start getting better results now, just be more specific. Tell it what you want. Tell it what style you want it in. If you have an example, this is actually the tip I should have said. If you have an example of something you've written or something that you've seen in the wild that you really like, just say, this is an example of what I like. I liked the tone of this content, and then just paste it in. Like all that stuff is really helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not gonna repeat. Well said. 2 more questions. I run a one-person business. I don't have a team to delegate to. I hear that. Can AI actually replace some of that capacity? I mean, this is a bit of a softball, but like, I think the takeaway here is like, what is the one thing that you would delegate tomorrow if you could? And then you may not have the answer, but go into, if you have ChatGPT or Claude, and ask it how it could help you automate that one thing that is like, that you would love to offload. Maybe that's like reporting or analysis on your business, or maybe it's writing copy for your products, product descriptions, like whatever that one thing is where you're like, ugh, I have to sit down and do this. Cause like, we know you wear a lot of hats. Not all of them are things that you're passionate about. They're just things that need to happen to help the business run. For me, it's just start there, and you don't have to know that you can delegate that. Just ask if there are ways to, and it will work with you to figure that out. I do that all the time.
Love it.
Final question from the mailbag today. I'm worried about AI making my content sound like everyone else's. How do I keep my voice? It's a little bit like the first one. I think there's some overlap there, but worth answering, I think.
So I'm not going to rehash the give it context thing, give it examples. That's the biggest thing here. But the other thing is, we mentioned this earlier too, iterate. If you get something back that you are unhappy with, don't just give up. Don't assume that it can't do what you want it to do. Ask for it to fix the parts of it that you don't like. Like if it used words that you don't like, tell it like, hey, I don't talk like this. And I talk to my assistant very casually. I'll be like, I don't talk like this. Like, you know how I talk. Look at the things I've actually written in the past. And sometimes I'll ask, like, why did you do this? Why did you include this thing? And it'll tell me something. So that can say, like, I can say, don't do that in the future, or do this instead,
Yeah. chances are, like for most of us, you're not just starting. You've written stuff. Feed everything you've written to it, and let it start there and learn there right out of the gates. All right, that is the mailbag for today. Chris, what do you want to share on our way out here?
Well, let's, I guess, recap what we shared. We demoed a couple really cool things using Canva in an assistant. That was really cool inside Claude. Using the MCP or a connector to get detailed profiles of an email marketing subscriber of yours, and then use it to create personalized content. Talk through a couple stories. Claude Opus 4.7 launched. Gemini is awesome. That was a tip. Basically, Jesse gave Nano Banana.
Gemini in the right implementation is awesome. Some not so much.
Yeah, and if you've got one thing, if there's one thing that you could do to help you set yourself up to be displayed in AI conversational search results, it's ask your superfans to leave your reviews on a site like Google Reviews or some other popular review site. And then I guess I'll just say, like, I hope this was useful. I hope that you learned something, and we're looking for feedback. Like, if you thought a section was boring or not useful, please let us know.
Yes. We want this to be the anti-boring.
Yeah, we want you to want to hang out with us every Tuesday and Friday, and it's a lot easier to figure out how to make that happen if you tell us what you want or need. We're going to keep sharing the cool stuff that has been working for us. Like, I use that profile enrichment thing I showed in Claude pretty frequently, even when I just want to learn about my subscribers or a new subscriber. But I think we're going to have some really fun stuff for you.
Yeah, and if it's not obvious enough already, we're figuring this out. You know, we're doing this, and we're going to grow. Like Chris said, we want your feedback, but also just, you know, if you want to kind of journey along with us as we iterate, evolve what the show is, and make it hopefully the most useful 30, 45 minutes of your day. Like, we want you to be a part of that. So please, like, go to AWeber.com/shift. You can sign up for email updates on when new episodes are coming, and any other, you know, tidbits or conversations or surveys about like what you liked, what you didn't. Like, sign up there. That's how you can find out about that. In the top right there, you can send us your question for us to answer on a future episode. And if you found even 10 seconds of this valuable, I hope that you'll come back. We'll be back next Tuesday, and I hope that you'll bring a friend. Chris, you've done that on some other stuff that we've done. Like, hey, if you got one thing, send this to a friend. You know, shoot them that website, aweber.com/shift. Invite them to come back and watch the next one and take part in this. And I'm just personally really excited to begin this journey. You know, it's a little bit unknown even for Chris and I, but we're really excited to just kind of hopefully, in a really interactive, conversational, and entertaining way, just translate what we're learning in AI into things that are hopefully genuinely practical and useful for creators and entrepreneurs and small business owners who, as we both personally know in our non-AWeber life, are constantly fighting for bandwidth and resources. And there's just some really cool things that you can do to kind of reclaim maybe quality of life or you know, business performance.
Yeah. So we're back next Tuesday, noon Eastern. Join us then.
Thanks, y'all.
Drew is really good at making other people look really good.
Stunning.
And with the help of AWeber's marketing platform, he's built an entire audience on his ability to turn heads. So even though Drew's just a team of one, it never really feels that way.
That's a wrap, folks. Come on out.
Drew uses AWeber. It's how teams of one get more done.
Oh, thanks, Tim. Have sweet. You're the best, Tim.
With AWeber, it's like he has a whole staff helping him grow his audience and build professional-looking content.
And send. We got it. Great job, team.
From automated email campaigns.
Oh, of course, sign up. You got it from here.
To insight-packed reports.
How are we looking on new subscribers? Is that the day we launch the new course? Nice.
AWeber gives Drew the freedom to go forth.
Hey.
And